On January 15, 1919, 2 million gallons of molasses didn't spill. They were stored in a tank that never should have passed inspection. The United Industrial Alcohol Company owned that tank. And here's the trick, they knew it was failing. The structure sat on the waterfront in Boston's North End, a dense neighborhood where Italian and Irish immigrants lived in tight tenements. The company had expanded the tank from 50 feet tall to 90 feet, doubling the pressure on the walls, but never reinforced the foundation. They were cutting costs to maximize profit on wartime alcohol production. Exhibit 1, the tank cost roughly $100,000 to build in 1915. That's about $2, $8 million in modern dollars. The company spent almost nothing on structural audits. Why? Because regulations didn't require them. Industrial safety inspection was voluntary, a handshake agreement between companies and city officials who often had financial interests in keeping factories running. The company did hire an engineer once. In 1917, he warned them the tank showed signs of stress, seeping rivets, bulging seams. His report exists in the historical record. The company filed it away. They had a production deadline and wartime demand for industrial alcohol was insatiable. Delaying repairs meant lost revenue. The math was simple and immoral. Exhibit 2, on January 15th at 12:40 p.m., the tank ruptured. 2 million gallons of molasses, weighing roughly 13,000 tons, exploded outward in a wave estimated at 25 feet high. The force was equivalent to a small explosion. It traveled at 35 miles per hour down Commercial Street. 21 people died, hundreds were injured, horses drowned, buildings collapsed. The cleanup took months, and here's what happened to the money. The company initially denied liability. They claimed an act of God. They sued their insurance carriers instead of paying victims directly. Exhibit 3, the lawsuit stretched 6 years. Victims' families waited. Some lost their breadwinners and had no income. The company's legal defense cost money, depositions, expert witnesses, delay tactics. By 1925, they finally settled for roughly $600,000, split among all claimants. That's about $9 million in today's terms, but spread across 21 deaths and 150 injuries. Pennies per victim. But the real cost, the one that doesn't fit neatly on a balance sheet, was systemic. Before this disaster, there was no federal industrial safety standard, no OSHA, no mandatory inspections, no criminal liability for negligence. Companies could literally kill people through negligence and face only civil suits. The molasses flood became a turning point. Journalists covered it obsessively. Engineers published analysis of what went wrong. Labor organizers seized the moment. They demanded regulation. The story traveled. It changed how people thought about corporate responsibility. Exhibit 4, Massachusetts passed new building codes. Other states followed. By the 1930s, industrial safety became a political issue. The New Deal included workplace safety provisions. The molasses flood didn't directly create OSHA, that came in 1970, but it cracked the door open. Here's what the financial records really show. United Industrial Alcohol Company made enormous profits during World War I. They cut corners to maximize those profits. When their negligence killed people, they spent money on lawyers instead of prevention. They paid minimal settlements, and they faced no criminal charges. The company stayed in business. They never publicly apologized. They never invested in safety upgrades across their other facilities. They simply accepted the civil settlement as a cost of doing business, which, mathematically, it was. The settlement was far cheaper than retrofitting their tanks nationwide. And here's the trick that economists still grapple with. When the cost of negligence is less than the cost of prevention, companies will choose negligence. That's not evil, it's math. It's why regulation exists. It's why laws force the cost calculation to change, making prevention cheaper than settlement. The 1919 molasses flood killed 21 people and injured 150. It destroyed property worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but its real value, its historical weight, was as evidence. Evidence that markets alone don't protect workers. Evidence that you need rules. Evidence that negligence has a price, and that price should be paid before people die, not after. Today, the site is a park. There's a small plaque. Few people know what happened there. Fewer still understand why it mattered, not just as tragedy, but as an economic lesson about the hidden cost of cutting corners. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe to uncover how money and the lack of rules around it shapes history, one disaster at a time. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.